Alright, we're back with part 2 on the 2014 Honda CRF250L. Last video, a couple guys dropped this off saying that they couldn't get it started. We went over the whole bike and we found that the rings were stuck to the piston pretty good. I got them unstuck from the piston and we actually got some new rings in. So the rings right here, Honda OEM genuine rings, just the standard size. And then a new top-end gasket kit. So we are going to attempt to rebuild this thing today and start it up for the first time. So hopefully we can get this thing running and driving. Last video we also went through the entire ignition system, thinking that maybe it was something to do with spark, because I thought this thing had a decompression release, and when I checked the compression, it was around 85, and this bike does not have a decompression mechanism on it. So it should really be about 150. We'll test compression after we rebuild it today, and I'm sure it's going to be right around that area. But yeah, the rings were stuck in the piston pretty good, so we're just going to clean up this piston and reuse this. The owners of the bike wanted me to do that, so that's what we're going to do. The piston doesn't look too bad. We're just going to clean it up with a green pad, get off all the carbon and everything, and we'll install the new rings. The cylinder looked pretty good. No scratches on the cylinder at all. So we're just going to take a green pad, go through the cylinder, scuff that up a little bit, and that should be good to go as well. Everything else looked good, valves look good, cams look good, so it should be a fairly easy fix if everything goes smoothly. Alright, so here's the old piston. We're just going to clean this up a bit so we can install the new rings. Get these rings out of here. These are really thin rings, actually, for a 250. It's crazy. But we measured these in the bore and they had a gap about that big. So these were really worn rings. So that's not good. So that's why we ordered up new rings. Punch out the pin here. Got that. We'll clean that up too. But we're just going to take a green pad and some WD-40. It's good to lube up the grooves in there. Take a green pad and scrub a little bit. See if we can get some of this stuff off of here. Here. Looks pretty good. Then we'll hit this with some brake cleaner and get the rest of it off. Alright, let's install the rings next. Here is the part number. Honda rings. Alright, so in the kit you're going to get a black ring with an RN on it right there. RN means that's facing up. And then you're going to get a silver ring with, I think it's just an R on it. Yep, right there. Just an R on the tip of it right there. That means that's facing up. So we're going to install that facing up. And then you're going to get the oil rings right here. So we'll install the oil rings first. Get that out of the way. Just going to install this one first here. And we'll measure the ring gap too, just to make sure it's decent. installed one more, and the oil rings are installed. You want to make sure these gaps for the oil rings are not overlapping each other, because oil will seep through. So we've got one gap right there, one right there. I'm going to move that a little bit so they're not so close to each other. But that's good to go. Alright, let's see what these rings are at for gaps. Alright, you can see the gap right there. It's pretty small. Looks like it's going to be perfect. Let's see what that's at for a reading. It's about 15 thousandths, so that's good. Next ring. You can see the gap right there. It's a lot smaller gap than what was on it before. A little bit smaller than 15 thousandths. Let's see. Maybe 13 for this one. Yep, 13 thousandths for that one. So that's pretty good. Alright, ring gaps, check out. So now we can install the rings. But alright, so the black ring will be the second ring. So we're going to put that right here, and we're going to put the R and N facing up. So let's just do that. And don't be afraid of breaking the rings, they're very flexible. You can see that fit right in there perfectly. And the top ring is going to be just the plain gray color. And there's going to be an R right there. We're going to place that facing up. So just like that, same as the second ring. I'll slide right in like that. Alright. And then when we install this, you want one ring gap right there, one ring gap right there, one on the back of the piston, and then like I said before, the ring gaps of the oil rings need to be spaced apart. You don't want any overlapping. So that piston's good to go. We're just going to take off that coating on it from the previous piston. We're just going to hit it with some WD-40 and that green pad. Then we'll clean this out with brake cleaner too. Alright, we'll come back when this is done. Alright, cylinder is done, looking pretty good. You can see all the discoloring is off of it now. Looking pretty good. We're going to get all the gasket surfaces cleaned up now. You can see the whole gaskets on that surface. Then some black pieces right here. Just going to get the razor blade and get those off of there. Alright, we got the surface prepped here. We're going to get the gasket on there. We're going to use a little bit of the gasket maker. Ultra black I always use. Stuff works really well. Never had a leak with it before, so stick with what works. Just a very thin coat to the bottom of the gasket here. Alright, looks like this one is going to go this way. Get the cam chain through. Get the rod through. We're just going to oil up the piston before we put that on. We're just going to put some oil between the rings and then between where the pin goes. Looking pretty clean in there. Nice. Alright, time to get the cylinder on. We've got everything moved up on the cylinder. This one might be a little tricky. There's not much room to work with here. So you gotta fit this thing over here first. Get the cam chain through here. It'd be a little tricky. Not a ton of room here. Alright, cylinder is on. Took a little bit of finessing, but we finally got her on. We're going to rotate the engine just to make sure that's all smooth. These rings are so thin that they can come out of those grooves so easily, so we're just going to double check, rotate the engine over. Only takes a couple extra minutes to do. Feels pretty smooth in there to me. Alright, awesome. Now we can work on getting the head in. Right here's a brand new gasket for the head. Goes on this way. Let's get that installed here. And it looks like we can probably install the valve guide after. Get this in. Alright, that's on there. Let's get the valve guide in. So this valve guide has an end like that that attaches into the bottom of the case here. And you have to get it right, otherwise it won't work here. Alright, let's see if we can get the head on next. The cam chain through. Alright, torque specs for the big nuts on here are 29 foot-pounds. Let's do that. We already got them to 25. Alright, those are good. Alright, this thing is at top dead center right now. We've got the cams in. So there's going to be a dot right here pointing straight up. And there's going to be an intake line right there, parallel with the surface of the head. Exhaust mark right there, parallel with the surface of the head. Let's see if I can get a close-up shot. It's hard to kind of see it, but you should be able to see it. And same with the other side. Dot right there. Then intake line over here, exhaust line over there. And then you're good to go for timing. Alright, I did not have to touch the valve adjustment, but for the exhaust it's 0.011 inches, and for the intake it is 0.006 inches. So those are all within spec. We can get the valve cover on now. Alright, we got the new gasket in for the valve cover. Let's try to get this valve cover back on. Kind of a tight fit in there. Alright, we got the spark plug in, valve cover on. Let's get the coolant line on here. Bleed. Alright, now we got to get the fuel injector unit in, and then we gotta get some coolant in it, and then we can attempt to start this thing. Alright, let's get some coolant going in here. See any leaking yet? That's topped off. We're gonna leave the cap off for the first start, just to get all the air out of it. But I think we're ready to do the first start on it. All right, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. That started up instantly. Holy cow. That's awesome. Leaking some coolant right here. I don't know what that's from. replace the crush washer on the coolant bolt, but other than that, it sounds really good. Alright, well that started up right away, no issues whatsoever. It's just the coolant is leaking out of the little drain plug right there, so not a big deal. Just replace the gasket and that should be good. No leaking otherwise, it doesn't look like. Nice and tight. It's always good when it starts like instantly. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so the little crush washer underneath here, that's the one causing problems, so let's take that off. Replace that. I've got the cap on, so hopefully it doesn't come shooting out. Take a look at that washer. Alright, that doesn't look that bad. There it is right here. We're just going to replace that quick. And we'll see if that fixes our problem. Alright, we fixed the leak. No leaking out of there anymore. So it was that that crush washer causing issues. So this thing is all ready to be picked up. All the plastics are back on, everything is good to go. They have the seat and the other plastics at their house, so I can't put it all back together, but there she sits. Alright, these guys that dropped off the bike, they're pretty young, and they originally bought this bike to flip it. I think they've got like, I'm not going to say the price, but they've got quite a bit into it. If I were to charge them for labor and everything, they'd be like over budget and wouldn't be able to make any money on it. So I think what we're going to do today is kind of prank them and say that I spent like 20 hours on the bike, which would be like $1,000 job, and they're probably expecting like a couple $100 for the top end rebuild. So we're going to say $1,000 job, and then when they get here, I'll say the work was free, the labor was free. So I'm gonna kind of prank them, see what they say. Should be pretty funny. But yeah, the least I can do is do this labor for free for them, and hopefully they turn a profit and can sell this bike for a little money. I'm going to text them the video here. All right, we've got the video uploaded right here. It's uploading. We'll see what he says first. He'll probably ask how much he owes me. Alright, he just said, oh, she's mint, man. What do I owe you, and when do I need to pick it up? I said, yep, turned out great. Alright, so I wrote this back. Took about 20 hours to diagnose and rebuild, so $1,000 is good. We'll send it and see what he says. Should be good. About 10 minutes, hasn't responded yet. So, he's probably contemplating what to say, I'm guessing. Alright, he just responded. He said, sounds good. I'm in school right now. I think tomorrow is good if rain puts off. I didn't want to trail anything in the pouring rain. So he agreed on $1,000. All right, he texted back saying he could come today at 10 o'clock. So we're gonna wait for him, and when he gets here, we'll tell him that the labor was free. So stay tuned. Hopefully he's happy about that. All right, the guy just picked it up. He was pretty happy to get the work done for free. Super nice guy. So hopefully he can sell that thing and make some money and have it be on its way. So there he goes. So that wraps up today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Go do something nice for someone, and we'll see ya on the next video.